Here's the belief flip that will change everything about how you handle trading pressure. The sweaty palms, racing heart, and shaky mouse clicks you experience aren't caused by the dollar amount in your account. They're caused by undefined risk colliding with a fragile identity. Most traders chase the wrong solution entirely. They think more confidence will help them handle bigger positions. They pump themselves up with motivational videos, visualize success, and try to feel bulletproof before clicking. Buy, stop. This approach is backwards and dangerous. You don't need more arousal. You need less. You don't need bigger emotions. You need clearer boundaries. Winners operate like snipers, taking one calculated shot with predetermined risk and exit strategy. They identify high-probability targets, plan meticulously, and execute with cold precision. Losers behave like casino tourists, spraying bullets at flashing lights, driven by impulse and the thrill of the gamble. Which identity resonates with your current trading? The difference isn't skill, capital, or market knowledge. It's systematic pressure management versus emotional chaos. Consider your last losing streak honestly. Did you blow up because you didn't know where support and resistance lived? Or because your position sizing expanded with your frustration? Did you lose because your technical analysis failed? Or because you couldn't execute your stops when price moved against you? The brutal truth most traders won't admit. Their strategy works fine on paper, but their nervous system sabotages execution when real dollars are at stake. By the end of this series, you'll have 3 specific tools that transform pressure from enemy to ally. First, a pressure protocol that keeps your execution ice cold regardless of position size or market volatility. Second, a systematic sizing approach that scales your risk without frying your nervous system through clear mathematical progression rules. Third, journal metrics that turn your P&L from emotional validation into objective teacher feedback, measuring what you control rather than what the market decides. Ignore this framework and face the double cost that destroys trading careers. The obvious cost is financial drawdowns that shrink your account and confidence. The hidden cost is psychological damage that creates shame loops, making you sabotage profitable setups because you don't trust yourself anymore. Shame makes your hand twitch on the mouse, forces revenge trades, and manufactures the very chaos you swore to avoid. My credibility comes from painful experience. Early in my career, I blew a 5-figure account, not because I lacked market knowledge, but because I couldn't handle the pressure of my own success. A winning streak inflated my position sizes. Overconfidence replaced systematic risk management. When the inevitable drawdown hit, I revenge traded the losses into account destruction. That failure taught me more about pressure psychology than any book or course ever could. Since then, I've coached traders who transformed from shaky-handed gamblers into steady operators using these exact frameworks. Here's what I discovered in the wreckage. There's one counterintuitive metric that kills trading pressure faster than meditation, breathing exercises, or positive thinking combined. It's not your win rate or profit factor. It's something far more fundamental to your behavioral consistency. Plus a 90-second reset technique that works mid-trade when your heart rate spikes and logical thinking shuts down. Today, we expose the core identity tension that determines your trading fate. Are you a gambler seeking excitement and validation through market action? Or are you an operator harvesting systematic edge through disciplined execution? Your nervous system knows the difference and responds accordingly. Here's the paradox that will reshape your thinking. Doing nothing is often your most profitable action. The market rewards patience more than activity, but your gambler identity craves constant stimulation. If the market is truly your teacher, what exactly is it trying to teach you about handling pressure? That question guides everything we explore next, starting with the dangerous myths that keep traders trapped in emotional execution patterns. Most traders chase the wrong target entirely. They consume motivational content, visualize success, and tell themselves, when I feel confident, I'll trade bigger and make real money. This backwards thinking destroys more accounts than bad strategy ever could. Stop chasing confidence. Start building clarity. Confidence feels like the solution, but it's actually the bait that hooks you into oversized positions and rushed decisions. Myth. One crumbles first. Confidence comes before competence. Reality check. You earn confidence by executing predetermined rules under low arousal conditions, not by hyping yourself up for high-stakes gambles. The trader who risks 0.5% per trade for 50 consecutive rule-following executions builds unshakable confidence. The trader who swings for home runs based on feeling it, builds nothing but anxiety and inevitable account destruction. Real confidence emerges from systematic repetition of small controlled actions that prove your ability to follow through regardless of market chaos. Want proof? Think of the last time you felt great about a trade and sized up. Did that emotion keep your hands steady when price moved against you? Or did it push you to move your stop and call it conviction? Myth 2 shatters next. Perfect strategy eliminates pressure. False and dangerous thinking. Variance exists in any statistical edge. Even sophisticated algorithms experience losing streaks. Your buffer against inevitable drawdowns isn't prediction accuracy, it's risk management discipline. The market doesn't care about your technical analysis perfection when your position sizing amplifies small losses into account-threatening disasters. You can be right about market direction 60% of the time and still lose money if your risk management is emotional rather than systematic. When you expect variance, you stop interpreting every red candle as personal attack and start managing exposure like a professional operator. Myth 3 dies hardest. Paper trading prepares you for live market execution. Paper trading teaches mechanics, how to place orders, read charts, identify patterns. But it cannot prepare your nervous system for the physiological response to real money at risk. Your heart rate doesn't spike with fake money. Your hands don't shake clicking buttons with no financial consequence. Only clear definitions of maximum acceptable loss, systematic stop discipline, and predetermined weight filters can condition your body for live market pressure when dollars are actually disappearing from your account. The casino metaphor sharpens these distinctions perfectly. Gamblers chase jackpots and emotional highs, increasing bet sizes when losing and mistaking excitement for edge. Casino operators run the house with mathematical advantages, strict betting limits, and emotionless execution of proven systems. They don't gamble. They harvest systematic edge through consistent application of favorable probabilities. Which identity describes your current approach? Here's the mathematical proof that makes emotional blowups intellectually embarrassing. Assume your strategy generates 55% win rate with average winners of 1.5 R and average losers of 1 R. Your expectancy equals 0.55 times 1.5 R minus 0.45 times 1 R, which equals 0.325 R positive expectancy per trade. But watch what happens when emotions sabotage execution. Poor stop discipline expands average losses to 2 R. Fear-based profit-taking shrinks average winners to 0.75 R. Now your expectancy becomes 0.55 times 0.75 R minus 0.45 times 2 R, equaling negative 0.4875 R per trade. Your previously profitable strategy now mathematically guarantees account destruction through emotional execution errors. Variance becomes your enemy when poor sizing and emotional exits destroy your statistical edge. The market only responds to your actual execution under pressure, not your strategy's theoretical performance. If your current approach makes mathematical ruin likely rather than wealth accumulation probable, how do we build an unshakable foundation? Next, we stack concrete proof with real trader stories and undeniable numbers. Two traders stare at identical CPI release setups on Friday morning. Same technical levels, same fundamental catalyst, same profit potential on paper. What happens next separates professional operators from emotional gamblers forever, and the math behind their different outcomes will shock you. Trader A feels the energy building before the 8:30 release. His pulse quickens as he anticipates explosive volatility. This setup is perfect, he thinks, doubling his normal position size, because the opportunity looks so clean. The number drops, price whipsaws violently in both directions, and his oversized position gets stopped out within 60 seconds. Frustration floods his nervous system. "I was right about direction," he protests internally, watching price reverse exactly where his analysis predicted. Revenge mode activates. He jumps back in on the bounce with even larger size, convinced the market owes him this winner after being right initially. Second stop hit. Now he's fighting the chart, his emotions and mathematical reality simultaneously. Third entry at maximum size, desperate to recover mounting losses. Final stop triggers 30 minutes after the initial release. Total damage, negative 4.2 R in 30 minutes of pure emotional chaos. Trader B approaches the identical setup with systematic discipline rooted in mathematical understanding. Her pre-market plan includes a mandatory 2-candle wait filter post-release, knowing that initial volatility creates false signals and predatory spreads. She places stops at predetermined structural levels before news hits, risking her standard 1R regardless of how perfect any setup appears. When the number drops and price whipsaws, she watches calmly from the sidelines as her wait filter protects her from the initial chaos. 2 full candle closes later, she enters at slightly worse price, but with clear directional bias and normalized spreads. Price moves favorably. She takes partial profits methodically at predetermined levels, protecting gains while allowing remaining position to work. By lunch, she's flat with modest 0.8 R profit and 0 emotional damage to her decision-making capacity. Same setup, opposite outcomes. The separator isn't luck, timing, or superior analysis. It's pressure management translating into execution discipline when money is actually at risk. Here's the mathematical foundation most traders never calculate, the hidden framework that determines whether your account survives or dies. Basic expectancy equals win rate multiplied by average win minus loss rate multiplied by average loss. Expectancy, win rate x average win, loss rate x average loss. Expectancy, win rate x average win, loss rate x average loss. If your strategy generates 55% winners averaging 1.5 R with 45% losers averaging 1 R, your expectancy equals 0.32 R per trade. Seems straightforward until you layer risk of ruin calculations that reveal pressure's mathematical foundation. At 1% risk per trade with modest positive expectancy, your probability of account destruction stays comfortably under 1% across thousands of trades. Your nervous system remains calm because mathematical survival is virtually guaranteed. But increase that risk to just 3% per trade with identical edge, and ruin probability explodes to 15% or higher. This isn't theoretical. It's cold mathematical reality your survival instincts detect faster than your conscious mind processes. That hand-shaking, heart-racing, mouse hesitation you experience with larger positions isn't emotional weakness requiring more confidence. It's your nervous system's sophisticated risk assessment detecting unsustainable exposure levels. Your body calculates the math your ego refuses to acknowledge. 3 consecutive losses at 3% each equals 9% drawdown in minutes, enough to trigger identity threat and protocol abandonment. The physical symptoms of trading pressure aren't character flaws. They're warning systems requiring better risk management, not bigger courage. Here's the variance twist that destroys scaling attempts. Increasing position size raises equity curve volatility faster than it increases expected returns. Double your risk per trade, and you might double expected daily returns, but you quadruple daily volatility swings. Your account becomes a psychological torture device, generating emotional responses violent enough to sabotage systematic execution. The mathematics work against psychological stability, creating negative feedback loops where larger positions generate larger emotional responses that generate larger execution errors. The market becomes your most honest mirror, reflecting internal risk management discipline rather than external market behavior. Your P&L doesn't measure prediction accuracy, it measures behavioral consistency under mathematical pressure. When you move stops, add to losers, or chase breakouts emotionally, the mirror shows a gambler, not an operator. Professional operators accept scarcity. One calculated shot, defined risk, planned exit, regardless of outcome. What if you had 3 simple dials to regulate pressure in real time, adjustable before, during, and after every trade to keep your nervous system inside its performance window? Meet your pressure thermostat, the 3-dial system that transforms uncontrollable trading anxiety into manageable variables you can adjust in real time. Every pressure spike you experience stems from one or more of these dials being set incorrectly for your current psychological capacity. Master these controls, and you master your nervous system's response when real dollars are at risk. Dial 1 controls size, your risk per trade and position scaling methodology. This dial directly impacts your survival instincts because larger positions trigger deeper identity threat when trades move against you. At 0.5% risk per trade, losses feel like business expenses. At 3% risk, losses feel like personal failures demanding immediate revenge. Your nervous system responds to mathematical exposure faster than your conscious mind processes chart patterns. Size isn't about account balance. It's about psychological capacity under pressure. Remember the math from last chapter. Bump risk from 1% to 3%, and your ruin probability explodes from under 1% to 15% or higher. Dial 2 manages 2. Speed, your timeframe selection and decision-making cadence. Scalping 1-minute charts demands split-second decisions under constant pressure, flooding your system with cortisol and adrenaline that shut down systematic thinking. Daily chart analysis allows methodical evaluation with natural circuit breakers between decisions. Speed determines cognitive load and emotional intensity. Your brain can only sustain high-frequency decision-making for limited periods before systematic thinking deteriorates into reactive gambling. Faster timeframes create more pressure points, more decision fatigue, more opportunities for protocol breakdown. Dial 3 regulates scope, the number of instruments and setups you monitor simultaneously. Watching 12 currency pairs while tracking Bitcoin, scanning for breakouts, and managing 3 open positions creates attention fragmentation that guarantees execution errors. Your working memory has finite capacity. Exceed it, and you start missing stops, forgetting exit plans, and making impulse decisions based on the loudest signal rather than the best probability. Pressure spikes occur when all 3 dials max out simultaneously. Picture this deadly combination. You're risking 3% per trade, scalping 1-minute charts, monitoring 12 currency pairs, while Bitcoin crashes 20%. Your nervous system enters survival mode, logical thinking shuts down, and you start making decisions that would embarrass you during calm review. Operators modulate these dials based on current psychological state. Gamblers mash everything to 11 and wonder why their hands shake. The sniper metaphor crystallizes into practical application. 1 instrument, 1 time frame, 1 high-probability setup. Elite snipers don't spray bullets hoping something hits. They study conditions, identify the perfect shot, and execute with cold precision. Trading operators follow identical principles. Remember the mirror principle. Your profit and loss reflects your dial settings, not market conspiracy. The market grades your protocol adherence, not your prediction accuracy. Practical dial mapping provides immediate pressure relief. FOMO attacking your discipline. Cut scope to your single A+ setup only. Feeling tilt after consecutive losses. Drop size by 50% for the next 5 trades. Overtrading from boredom during choppy conditions? Reduce speed by moving to higher time frames where fewer but higher quality signals appear. Identity safety emerges through rules that protect self-respect regardless of outcomes. When you follow protocol during losing trades, your identity as professional operator remains intact. Your self-worth doesn't fluctuate with daily profit and loss because you measure success through process adherence rather than market-dependent results. Here's the 2-minute pre-trade ritual that reduces heart rate and increases stop discipline by 40% based on our coaching data. First, execute the 4 to 7 8 breathing pattern 3 complete cycles. Inhale for 4 counts, hold for 7, exhale for 8. This activates parasympathetic nervous system response, lowering cortisol and improving decision-making clarity. Second, visualize your stop-loss location before visualizing your entry point. Third, speak your maximum acceptable loss aloud. Verbal commitment engages additional neural pathways, strengthening resolve to honor predetermined risk levels. These dial adjustments work, but only when they become automatic responses rather than conscious decisions made under pressure. How do we transform these pressure thermostat controls into muscle memory through if-then rules that fire instantly when emotions spike? Here's your complete operating system for pressure-proof trading, designed to remove emotional decision-making from every phase of your day when real money is on the line. This isn't about suppressing the fear, greed, and frustration that surge through your nervous system. It's about channeling those emotions through predetermined responses that protect your capital and preserve your sanity. Your pre-market protocol starts with the 2-minute detachment ritual that separates your trading identity from your personal ego. Execute 3 complete cycles of 4 to 7 8 breathing to activate parasympathetic nervous system response and lower cortisol levels. Ask yourself the daily question: what is the market teaching today? This shifts your mindset from conquering markets to learning from them, transforming the market from opponent into teacher. Plot your stop-loss locations before identifying entry points, training your brain to think risk first rather than profit first. Design your environment to eliminate decision fatigue. Single screen per task, social media killed entirely, alerts set only for A+ setups. Remove one-click position sizing from your platform and create physical barriers to revenge trading through deliberate friction. In-market protocol operates through non-negotiable if-then rules that bypass emotional hijacking during pressure spikes. If first loss of session, then reduce size 50% for next 2 trades. This prevents revenge trading spirals that destroy accounts when single losses become identity threats. If down 2R intraday, then close platform immediately and journal the trigger. This circuit breaker stops small drawdowns from becoming account-threatening disasters through emotional compounding. If pre-market ATR exceeds 1.5 times normal, then widen stops to structure and cut size 30%. This adjusts for volatility expansion that invalidates normal risk parameters. If 3 consecutive micro-rule breaks occur, then switch to observation mode only. Your order entry becomes binary checklist: correct instrument, correct size, stop placed, target staged, maximum loss stated aloud. The 90-second reset discharges mid-trade pressure without abandoning your plan. Stand up to interrupt stress response patterns. Exhale longer than you inhale for 5 breath cycles, activating calming parasympathetic response. Reread your trade plan aloud to reconnect with predetermined logic rather than current emotion. Check jaw, shoulders, and hands for tension and consciously release physical stress that impairs fine motor control. Reaffirm stop discipline by stating maximum loss aloud, strengthening neural pathways that support rule adherence under pressure. Post-market protocol transforms daily results into systematic improvement through objective measurement. Journal the discipline triad daily. Patience score measuring ability to wait for A-plus setups. Discipline score measuring rule adherence regardless of outcome. Detachment score measuring emotional neutrality toward individual results. Calculate binary rule follow rate, the percentage of trades where you followed every aspect of your predetermined plan. This metric predicts long-term profitability better than win rate or daily profit and loss. The sizing ladder creates systematic progression based on behavioral consistency rather than emotional confidence. Start at 0.25% risk per trade, regardless of account size. After 10 consecutive rule-following trades, regardless of their outcomes, increase risk by 0.1%. Break 2 rules within 7 days and drop 1 rung immediately. This system rewards process improvement over outcome optimization, building genuine confidence through demonstrated competence under pressure, while automatically calming your nervous system by divorcing size from excitement. Remember the sniper metaphor. Elite operators don't spray bullets hoping something hits. They study conditions, identify perfect shots, and execute with cold precision. Your mirror reflects dial settings, not market conspiracy. The market grades protocol adherence, not prediction accuracy. This framework acknowledges that emotions provide valuable information about risk levels, but they make terrible decision makers under pressure. Will these protocols hold when the casino lights flash red and your mirror shows serious drawdown? Or will your inner gambler break free from systematic constraints? Next, we stress test this framework with real scenarios that separate theoretical knowledge from practical execution under fire. Time for live fire testing of your pressure protocol against the 3 battlefield scenarios that destroy more accounts than bad strategy ever could. These moments separate theoretical knowledge from practical execution when your nervous system floods with stress hormones and logical thinking shuts down. As you read each scenario, notice which reflexes feel familiar. That's your mirror, reflecting back your current identity under pressure. Scenario 1 unfolds every NFP Friday at exactly 8:30 a.m. Eastern, when non-farm payrolls hit the wire. The gambler stares at countdown timers, heart rate climbing as volatility approaches. No predetermined plan exists for multiple outcomes, just vague hope that chaos equals opportunity. The number drops, price explodes in both directions within seconds, and he lunges at the first green candle without checking. Spread expansion or waiting for liquidity normalization. First stop hit in 90 seconds as price whipsaws violently. Identity threat activates immediately. I was right about direction. Revenge mode engages. Second entry at larger size to recover initial loss, plus make the profit he deserved from correct analysis. Second stop triggered. Now pure emotion controls decision-making. Third entry at maximum size, desperate to prove the market wrong. Final stop hit 8 minutes after release. Total damage, -3.8 R, and a nervous system flooded with shame that will sabotage the next 3 setups. The operator approaches identical conditions with systematic discipline rooted in mathematical reality. Her predetermined plan includes mandatory 2-candle wait filter post-release, understanding that initial volatility creates predatory spreads and false signals. She observes chaos calmly, watching bid-ask spreads normalize and directional bias emerge. 2 full closes later, she checks liquidity conditions, sizes at 0.5% maximum regardless of setup quality, and accepts slippage risk as cost of business in volatile conditions. 1 calculated entry at clear structural break with predetermined stop and target levels. Result: plus 0.9 R or flat exit by 9:15 a.m., nervous system intact, ready for next A+ setup. Scenario 2 develops during midday chop sessions when trending moves, stall and ranges dominate. The gambler, bored by sideways action and addicted to stimulation, starts scalping micro-movements to feel productive. Commission costs accumulate with each round trip, while tiny profits get eaten by spreads. Death by 1,000 paper cuts, over 2 hours of frantic activity, generating net negative returns despite multiple winning trades. The operator recognizes low probability environments through systematic filters. If 3 consecutive doji formations appear, she stands down entirely, understanding that indecision candles signal ranging conditions unfavorable to directional strategies. If no clear trend emerges for 90 minutes, she reduces scope to single best setup only, eliminating decision fatigue and preserving mental energy for genuine opportunities. Scenario 3 springs the fake breakout trap that catches momentum chasers. The gambler sees price break resistance with volume, adds to his winner without defining invalidation levels, and watches his 2R profit evaporate into 1.5R loss as price fails to follow through and reverses violently. Hope-based position management transforms winning trade into psychological damage. The operator defines failure points before entry, understanding that breakouts fail frequently enough to require systematic protection. She uses partial profit taking at predetermined levels, removing half position at 1R to guarantee positive outcome regardless of subsequent price action. When follow-through fails to materialize, she exits completely rather than hoping for recovery. Each scenario embeds identical truth. Consistent profitability comes from controlled losses and systematic execution, not home run seeking or emotional reactions to market stimulation. Pattern interrupt revelation? Doing nothing in these scenarios increases expectancy more than trying harder through increased activity or position size. The small account objection surfaces predictably. I need big wins to grow fast because I am starting small. This thinking is precisely backwards and mathematically dangerous. Small accounts need high repetition of rule-following behavior at tiny risk levels to build competency before scaling. Your edge is repetition, not aggression. Risk 0.25 to 0.5% and collect rule-follow repetitions that build genuine confidence through demonstrated competence. What identity shift makes patience profitable while transforming aggressive action into expensive liability rather than competitive advantage? The deepest transformation happens at identity level, where unconscious beliefs about who you are determine every decision when pressure mounts and real money disappears from your account. You cannot outperform your identity level long term. This is psychological law, as immutable as compound interest mathematics. Temporary performance spikes occur when gamblers get lucky streaks or operators hit rough variance, but regression to identity mean happens with mathematical certainty over sufficient trade samples. Gamblers seek excitement, external validation, and the emotional high of being right about market direction. Their nervous systems crave stimulation, interpreting boring sideways markets as personal punishment and explosive volatility as opportunity for entertainment. Operators seek consistency, capital preservation, and quiet satisfaction of executing predetermined systems under maximum psychological pressure. They interpret boring markets as capital preservation opportunities and volatility spikes as increased risk requiring smaller positions and wider stops. The scoreboard transformation reveals everything about internal identity. Gambler metrics focus on daily profit and loss, win rate percentages, and directional prediction accuracy. All external validation dependent on market cooperation rather than personal control. Operator scorecards measure rule follow rate, risk-adjusted returns over monthly periods, maximum drawdown control, and systematic process improvement through journal analysis. Notice the fundamental difference. Gamblers measure what markets give them. Operators measure what they control regardless of market behavior. Language rewiring exposes identity at the cellular level and accelerates transformation through repetition. Replace. I hope it runs with, I'll execute my stop at this level, shifting from hope-based to plan-based execution. Transform. I knew it would do that. into my plan accounted for that scenario, reinforcing systematic thinking over ego attachment. Most critically, evolve from the market screwed me to I deviated from protocol, moving from external blame to internal accountability and learning opportunity identification. Environmental identity reinforcement accelerates change through physical anchoring. Develop trading uniform or ritual that signals professional operator mode, specific clothing, desk setup, or preparation ceremony, separating trading identity from personal ego. Time box sessions with clear boundaries, preventing gambling style, just one more trade behavior. Display visible mantras during pressure moments, risk manager. First, trader second, reminds you that capital preservation outranks profit generation in priority hierarchy. The small account revelation destroys the biggest myth preventing identity transformation. You don't need large position sizes. You need high repetition of rule-following behavior at sustainable risk levels. Risk 0.25 to 0.5% per trade and target 100 consecutive rule-following repetitions before considering size increases. This builds genuine confidence through demonstrated competence rather than false confidence through lucky outcomes. Compounding isn't sexy or stimulating, but survival is everything in a game where 90% of participants lose money systematically. Emotional detachment requires naming impulses rather than suppressing them completely. When revenge urges surface after losses, acknowledge revenge is speaking and run your 90-second reset protocol. When FOMO attacks during breakouts you missed, recognize FOMO is activated and return to predetermined setup criteria. This creates psychological distance between impulse and action, buying time for systematic responses to override emotional hijacking. Professional operators plan for psychological relapse because identity transformation isn't linear. It's cyclical with predictable setbacks during high-stress periods. Pre-commit kill switches that remove discretionary decision-making, maximum daily loss limits, forcing platform closure, accountability partners monitoring rule follow rates, environmental barriers, creating friction against impulsive trades. Schedule weekly identity reviews every Friday. Screenshot clean losses and passes. Analyze what the teacher market graded you on. Archive proof of operator behavior. What single daily metric predicts long-term profitability better than win rate? Reduces pressure automatically by focusing attention on controllable factors and transforms the market from opponent into teacher through measurement of internal discipline rather than external outcomes. The metric that predicts long-term profitability better than win rate, profit factor, or any technical indicator exists inside your behavior, not market movement. Rule follow rate. Track this daily over rolling 20 trade samples, targeting 97% consistency or higher. This single number transforms trading from emotional gambling into systematic business operation while simultaneously killing pressure by measuring what you control rather than what markets decide to you. Why does this metric matter more than daily profit and loss? Because it protects your mathematical expectancy while reducing psychological arousal that destroys execution under pressure. When your identity shifts to the person who keeps promises under pressure, your nervous system calms automatically because success depends on internal discipline rather than external market cooperation. You stop obsessively checking unrealized profit and loss because your scorecard measures process adherence, not outcome validation. Calculate rule follow rate through binary scoring that removes subjective interpretation. Each trade receives either 1 point for complete protocol adherence or 0 points for any deviation, regardless of financial outcome. Define rule following before each session. Correct setup identification, position size within plan, stop placed before entry, target staged, weight filter honored, exit according to predetermined criteria. Journal note completed. Profitable trades that violated stop discipline or sizing rules, score 0. Losing trades that followed every aspect of your plan score 1. This creates cognitive dissonance, accelerating identity transformation, winning money through rule breaking. Feels hollow while losing money through systematic execution. Builds genuine confidence. Complete your operator dashboard with 3 supporting metrics addressing mathematical realities of systematic trading. Risk of ruin probability must stay under 1% at current position sizing and expectancy parameters. Use Kelly criterion calculations or Monte Carlo simulations to verify survival probability across thousands of trades. Maximum consecutive losses. Planning prepares your nervous system for inevitable streaks, as any positive expectancy system experiences 8 to 10 consecutive losers periodically. Average loss size should never exceed your planned 1R, regardless of emotional pressure to give trades room to work. The daily scorecard ritual transforms market interaction from personal combat to business evaluation. Each morning, review yesterday's rule follow rate before checking profit and loss. Identify any protocol breaks and their emotional triggers: FOMO, revenge, boredom, or overconfidence. Commit to today's maximum acceptable loss before market open, speaking the dollar amount allowed to strengthen neural pathways, supporting stop discipline. Execute 2 minutes of 4 to 7, 8 breathing. Visualize stop locations first, then entries, and reaffirm your mantra. Risk manager first, trader second. The transformation runs deeper than metrics. Markets become teachers rather than opponents when you measure internal discipline instead of external validation. Each trade becomes business transaction rather than personal proof of intelligence or market timing ability. Losing trades that followed protocol teach patience and system trust. Winning trades that violated rules teach the danger of outcome-based thinking, leading to eventual account destruction. The compound effect emerges through mathematical certainty. Here's the calculation most traders never make. If your system generates 0.3R expectancy per trade with 90% rule adherence, you earn 0.3, 0.999, 0.27R, 0.3, 0.9, 0.27R per trade on average. Drop rule follow rate to 60% through emotional deviations, and expectancy collapses to 0.3, 0.6, 18R, 0.3, 0.6, 0.18R per trade. A 33% reduction in long-term wealth accumulation. 90% rule follow rate with modest positive expectancy creates exponential wealth growth through reduced drawdowns and consistent execution. Your true edge isn't predicting price direction with supernatural accuracy. It's predicting your own behavior under psychological pressure with systematic reliability. Market forecasting requires impossible knowledge of infinite variables affecting price. Behavioral forecasting requires predetermined responses to finite emotional states you've experienced repeatedly. You become the consistent variable in an otherwise inconsistent environment. Implementation requires lightweight tracking system. Build spreadsheet or journal template with checkboxes for each rule and automatic rule. Follow rate calculation over last 20 trades. Color code results: green above 90%, yellow 85 to 90%, red below 85%. If you drop into red, shrink size, reduce scope to single A+ setup, and slow speed by moving up timeframes. Celebrate clean losses and passes as identity reinforcement. The mirror metric reflects internal discipline rather than external market movement. When rule follow rate drops below 85%, your nervous system detects unsustainable psychological pressure requiring immediate dial adjustments. When rule follow rate exceeds 95% consistently, you've earned the right to scale position size incrementally through demonstrated competence under fire. How do we cement this identity transformation from outcome-focused gambler to process-focused operator? Through community commitment and systematic practice schedule that creates accountability beyond individual willpower. Here's your systematic on-ramp to permanent identity transformation, the 30-day operator sprint that converts theoretical knowledge into behavioral muscle memory. when real money is at risk. This isn't another willpower-based challenge requiring superhuman discipline. It's engineered progression that respects psychological reality while building genuine competence under live market pressure. Your gambler identity will resist every step because systematic trading feels boring compared to emotional gambling, but that resistance signals progress towards sustainable profitability. Foundation building spans the first 14 days with non-negotiable parameters designed to establish core operator behaviors without overwhelming your nervous system. Risk maximum 0.5% per trade, regardless of setup quality or conviction level. This trains your brain to separate opportunity assessment from position sizing decisions. Trade only your single highest probability setup to eliminate decision fatigue and scope overload. Execute the complete pressure protocol daily. Pre-market detachment ritual with 4 to 7-8 breathing. Environment design with single screen focus. If-then rule implementation. 90-second resets when pressure spikes. And post-market journaling of rule follow rate plus discipline triad scores. Your daily scorecard during foundation building tracks. Binary metrics that remove subjective interpretation. After each session, calculate rule follow rate over your last 20 trades and score patience, discipline, and detachment from 1 to 10. Aim for 4 to 8 clean decisions daily, including no trade passes that demonstrate systematic thinking over action bias. Any protocol break triggers immediate friction. Reduce size by 50% for the next 2 trades and add 5-minute review before your next order. Week 1 typically generates boredom and frustration as your excitement-addicted nervous system adjusts to systematic execution. Week 2 often produces overconfidence as rule following generates results, tempting protocol abandonment for obvious winners at larger size. Stress testing occupies days 15 through 28, gradually introducing complexity while maintaining systematic foundation. If your rule follow rate stays above 85% consistently, introduce one secondary setup with identical risk parameters and protocol requirements. Test 90-second reset techniques during live trades when pressure spikes occur. Stand up, regulate breathing, reread trade plan aloud, release physical tension, reaffirm stop discipline. Practice 3 dial adjustments under actual market stress. Reduce size after losses, narrow scope during FOMO episodes, slow speed during overtrading urges. Most participants experience their biggest challenges during stress testing as increased complexity triggers old gambling patterns. Operator certification begins after 30 days with clear progression criteria removing subjective assessment. If your 30-day rule follow rate exceeds 90%, increase position size by 0.1% and repeat the entire cycle at higher stakes. This builds genuine confidence through demonstrated competence rather than false confidence through lucky streaks. If rule follow rate falls between 85 and 90%, maintain current size and repeat stress testing phase. If below 85%, extend foundation phase another 30 days. No shame, no failure, just systematic skill development, respecting individual learning curves. Community. Accountability accelerates transformation through social reinforcement and shared experience. Share your daily rule follow rate in comments below, creating public commitment that strengthens private discipline. Post your biggest pressure trigger and how you managed it using protocol tools, helping others recognize similar patterns while reinforcing your own learning. Optional buddy system pairs you with another viewer for daily check-ins through 60-second voice memos after sessions. Score, trigger, adjustment, keeping your identity anchored in operator behaviors rather than outcome validation. Expect sustained resistance from your gambler identity manifesting as boredom during sideways markets, FOMO during explosive moves you're not positioned for, and impatience with systematic progression versus immediate gratification. These feelings represent normal psychological withdrawal from excitement addiction rather than character flaws requiring elimination. Label the impulse. Revenge is speaking. FOMO is activated. Run your reset protocol and act according to plan regardless of internal emotional weather. Build micro rewards, reinforcing new identity. Checkmark calendar days with 90% adherence. Friday debrief sessions only after honoring maximum daily loss. Printed operator's oath visible during trading sessions. Your success metric at day 30 should be calm confidence in your ability to execute predetermined rules under any market condition, not profit maximization or win rate optimization. You should feel genuinely proud of clean losses following protocol and suspicious of lucky wins violating rules. Your nervous system should remain stable during drawdowns because you're measuring process rather than outcomes. What does graduation to full professional operator status look like beyond this initial transformation, and how do we build lasting community supporting continued development rather than backsliding into old gambling patterns? The choice stands before you with mathematical certainty and psychological finality. Remain a gambler chasing excitement and fighting the market through emotional reactions, or evolve into a professional operator who harvests systematic edge with calm precision when real dollars are at risk. This is your graduation moment from theoretical knowledge to practical identity transformation. Everything you've learned about pressure management, the 3-dial thermostat, and behavioral consistency now crystallizes into a single decision that determines whether your account grows systematically or dies through emotional bleeding. The operator's oath serves as your formal manifesto, encompassing every principle that separates long-term winners from inevitable losers. I am a risk manager first, trader second. I protect capital above all considerations, follow protocol regardless of internal emotional weather, and compound discipline daily through systematic repetition. My edge comes from behavioral consistency under pressure, not market prediction accuracy. I measure success by rule follow rate over rolling samples, not daily profit and loss validation. I treat pressure as mathematical information about risk levels, not emotional weakness requiring confidence. The market is my teacher providing objective feedback. My trades are curriculum for systematic improvement, and patience is my competitive advantage over excitement-seeking participants. Print this oath. Read it aloud before every session. Let these words anchor your identity when pressure mounts and old gambling patterns demand immediate gratification. Your new identity scorecard reflects fundamental transformation from outcome-focused gambler to process-focused professional. Rule follow rate above 90% over rolling 20 trade samples demonstrates behavioral consistency under live market pressure. Risk of ruin probability below 1% at current position. Sizing ensures mathematical survival across thousands of trades. Maximum drawdown controlled through systematic stop discipline protects both capital and psychological stability during inevitable variance periods. Continuous protocol improvement through weekly journal analysis transforms every experience into skill development rather than random profit-seeking activity. You are now the consistent variable in an inconsistent environment. The compound effect extends far beyond trading profits into general life competency. Systematic thinking replaces emotional reactivity in business decisions and relationships. Emotional regulation skills transfer to high-pressure situations outside markets, creating calm confidence under stress in any domain. Delayed gratification capacity strengthens through daily patience practice, building wealth across areas requiring long-term perspective over short-term satisfaction. The market becomes your greatest personal development coach, forcing confrontation with weaknesses while building transferable strengths. You possess the complete operating system: pressure, thermostat for real-time dial adjustments, pressure protocol with if-then rules, sizing ladder for systematic progression, 90-second reset for mid-trade pressure spikes, and rule follow rate as your mirror metric. Together they form a closed loop. Diagnose with the mirror, adjust with the thermostat, execute with protocol, stabilize with reset. Scale with the latter. This is professional operation under fire. Community reinforcement accelerates transformation because individual willpower fails under sustained pressure without social accountability. If you are ready to take the operator's oath, type Risk Manager first in the comments below. This public commitment strengthens private discipline while connecting you with others, choosing consistency over chaos. Subscribe for advanced operator training covering position scaling methodologies and psychological maintenance systems, preventing identity backsliding during drawdown. Periods. Share daily rule follow rates, pressure triggers, and protocol improvements with traders measuring process over outcomes. The market will always provide opportunities for both systematic operators and emotional gamblers, but only one approach survives long-term wealth accumulation while preserving psychological health. Your decision to master yourself, and through that mastery, master your trading, starts with your very next trade execution. Will you approach it with predetermined risk, systematic criteria, planned stops, and objective analysis? Or gamble with sizing, chase validation, move stops on hope, and measure success through daily swings? The choice is binary and immediate. Will you gamble with your potential, remaining trapped in excitement and disappointment cycles that bleed accounts? Or step forward as the professional operator you were meant to become, harvesting consistent edge through behavioral mastery that compounds wealth systematically? Your next click reveals your answer.